Chris Thiele was the host of this radio show, sort of this flagship NPR show, so it had a huge listenership. And so Thiele called me up and he was like, hey, it's Joe Pass's birthday this week. Would you want to learn a Joe Pass thing? Would you be up for that? And so I said yes, and I went and checked out his record Virtuoso, and I really was vibing with his arrangement of Round Midnight. So I was like, okay, I'll learn Round Midnight to play on the radio for, an audience of 3 million people in 4 days. Secretly, the little voice in the back of my head, the not helpful one, was like, this is gonna be your time to shine, baby. And I feel like I let my ego get a little too involved. And so anyway, but that gave me this incredible fuel, and I worked really hard and I got it down, and I could really play the shit out of it. Anyway, when we got to the show, I started getting really nervous. Halfway through the show, like my knees started shaking. And the reason I was getting so nervous was because I'd put so much of my own self-worth and identity on the line. It made me incredibly vulnerable. And, I made it in a quarter of the way through, and I messed up. It was the hardest part. It was the part that I knew that I was the most worried about, and sure enough, I messed it up. But because it was around midnight, and I'm not really a jazz player, I couldn't find my way back onto it. I wasn't fluent with that tune. I'd gotten really good at playing Joe Pass's arrangement. I hadn't gotten good at playing Around Midnight. So on this radio show with, again, 3 million people listening out in Radio Land, and not to mention the 2,000 people that were in the auditorium in front of us, I was playing, I couldn't find it, and I just literally stopped and I go, I done lost it. Was the quote, because I was like, if I talk like a hillbilly, they'll just take, they'll be like,
good grace.
What was he doing trying to play Joe Pass? And it was so mortifying. It was so mortifying.
It's so relatable though. The experience of like ego getting in the way, or like wanting something to go so well for you that it gets in the way of the music that wants to happen,
Yeah, totally. And that voice can be really powerful. And if you feed that voice, it's going to be loud in there. But it was really hard. And I was very, very, very sad all night. Kind of almost inconsolable all night. Just didn't want to talk to anybody. Just like, And eventually, it actually wound up being a really positive experience. I had the realization that tomorrow's a new day. I'm going to go home. I'm going to see my wife, call my family. I'm going to see my dog. And I just realized, that's actually what matters more than any of this stuff. And the fact that it was such a fail actually wound up being this incredible opportunity to grow and learn and gain a lot of insight about myself and about that process of working on things and why we work on things and how we work on things. And it's not to say, by the way, that I'm free of that little guy back there, but I think I know him now. I know him a lot more clearly than I did before. And that's really valuable.